All right, welcome back to Hammer Time. This is a college football talk show where we pretty much break down all of the games, all of your bets, and then we have your hottest takes that you have probably ever heard of. I am one of three of your hosts, Cade. Alongside of me, as always, is Dylan and Jake. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are previewing Week 0 and some games for Week 1. We say about 10 games because we're previewing some Week 0 and then some weekday Week 1, just because we probably won't have time for this next week. Because
I think it's 8 games.
It's
We'll
9.
start pretty
9 games. Okay.
close enough. But yeah, we're very excited, as we hope you guys are as well. Or if you're not, you have no soul. Simple as that. Just a quick disclaimer before we begin. We are giving out our picks in this podcast. However, these lines have moved and will move before and after recording this. We do not control those. I don't think any of us in here are putting down $10,000 wagers or anything more of that. I don't know if any of us are moving like that. I don't know. But just because we say our final pick does not mean that it is a bet, unless if it's specified. It's more of a, if I had to, there you go, type of thing. So it's more of an advice type of pick rhythm thing that we're going on. So whatever. But as most of you know in this industry, that there are zero guarantees, there are zero promises, but it is very rewarding and it is very fun. With that being said, we have the best conversations awaiting us and all the insights, all the breakdowns. We've been working on this preview for a decent amount of time, and now we're finally here. So definitely excited to get started. I believe I am up first with the first game of the week. And this is on Saturday, part of the Week 0 slate. And that is Fresno State visiting Kansas. This game is held in Kansas's brand new stadium. It is the first game that will be in this new stadium. I have the total at 50.5 at the time of writing this, and the spread is at favoring Kansas minus 12.5. So, starting out with Kansas's offense here, and then basically we'll kind of all piggyback and agree to disagree, blah, 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 whatever. Kansas's offense. Jalen Daniels, retooled offense. I think given his injury history and majority of the offenses as a whole injury history, I think asking for 2 touchdowns is a decent ask. I don't think it's going to be very easy. I think the majority of this is going to be relied on Jalen's weapons more so than Fresno State's defense, as they are very good, but they've got to find some separation and they've got to find room to work. And get points on the board, obviously, move the ball downfield continuously. I think Fresno State's secondary is the type of secondary that can pretty much hang routinely with the wideouts of Kansas right now. And I don't think we haven't seen them roll over on Power 4 opponents recently in the previous years. With that being said, on the offensive side of the ball for them, Kurt Warner's son, does that make you feel old? is the starting quarterback for Fresno that was just released last week. And then from what I've read and from everything that I've looked into, he's the pure definition of a game management quarterback. So, shocker if that sounds familiar. But he'll be facing the defense of Kansas that is missing a ton of key role players in the trenches because they pretty much have none. They have lost pretty much a lot of those kind of guys from last year. And so they're kind of retooling that portion of the unit as well. I think the keys to victory for Kansas this time around is going to be limit your mistakes and your turnovers. And definitely, just because it's a group of 5 opponent, you cannot sleep on these Bulldogs because they have a fun offense and they will attack you on every corner. On the vice versa side, Fresno State's keys, I think you have to limit the noise and all the excitement. The first game in a new stadium is always going to be really energetic. I think there's not really any high expectations of the team supposed to be good, but it's a new stadium in the new area. I mean, the place is going to be bumping. It's going to be a really, really wild place. It is a night game, or an evening game, I should say. So really can expect some energy there. I think Fresno has the pedigree under Matt Entz to pretty much limit the mistakes and the poor conditioning, like majority of these week 0 games, which would contain both of those, quite frankly. I think Kansas will win that second half with ease after a health check at the break of halftime. But the number, I think 12.5 is a little bit too big for me to bite on that. If I had to say anything, I got to lean Fresno State at 12.5. But I do like a play at Kansas second half spread, which is 6.5. I think they come out sleeping, but I think that second half is kind of a wake up call for this team. So if you have any thoughts on that one, if you guys have any picks on that one, let me know. And other than that, it's pretty much the first game.
Yeah, I mean, this line got bet down from 14.5 originally, so we're seeing a lot of steam on Fresno State, and I tend to agree with that. I do think with so many questions on this Kansas team, especially, I mean, honestly, not especially, like on both sides of the ball, with how much they've replaced, I think this comes down to Jalen Daniels is going to have to, one, be healthy all game, but two, really take it into his own hands. And I think 12.5 is a steep number. I think 10's probably where we're looking here with this game. I don't have a lean on anything though. Just enjoy it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's just weird numbers for me. I think I would. I don't even know if I would really even like 10 either side. Yeah, I don't really have a lean. I don't even have a pick really. I mean, I do. I guess I can't lie. I have a thing with Kansas money line in there, but other than that, that's a play that's not getting released. It's just a bankroll builder play for me. Little parlay.
Sounds good. I think the second game we have is your Sam Houston State and Western Kentucky.
Yep. So we got Sam Houston State at Western Kentucky. It is this Saturday, 7:00 game. Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's going to be a great. I think it's going to be a great environment. You know, you're coming off Western Kentucky last year. They had a pretty solid year. The people of Bowling Green love this team. So I believe it's going to be on CBS opening or current lines, I guess I should say. Western Kentucky minus 10.5, and the totals actually jumped up to 61.5. So Western Kentucky is returning 34% of its production this year, or of its players. Sam Houston returns 40%. Last year, Western Kentucky won this 31-14 in Sam Houston. So huge pickup for Western Kentucky is Maverick McIver. Last year, threw for 3,828 yards, 30 touchdowns. Granted, it was FCS, but I think bringing in Rick Bowie, however you say his name, this year is going to be huge for them. He also has Katie Hutchinson and then another transfer in Matthew Henry, who had 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns last year. We also got Lavelle Wright, had about 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. Hopefully he can help boost the run game because it definitely lagged last year. But all that said, Western Kentucky did lead Conference USA in passing last year and third in total offense. So offense should not see a drop in production, in my opinion. Then we look at the Sam Houston defense. So just 20% of his defense is returning. No starters are back from their bowl game. I guess you could say if you had key people there, you have C.J. Johnson, linebacker, and then West Virginia transfer. I don't even know how to say his first name, Lawton, on the D line. And then you got Keelan Cox, and then in the secondary you got Iman Allen, and then the Wisconsin transfer Jace Arnold. So just a lot of question marks on that defense for me. Looking at Sam Houston's offense, however, they are returning 60% of their offense. They do get a new head coach in Phil Longo, which is decently proven as offensive coordinator. He was with Sam Houston and I think for 2 years in like 2014-ish before he moved on. Rather unimpressive in my opinion in Wisconsin, but that's neither here or there. They do bring back Hunter Watson. Not really much to talk about in the passing game for him. Just shy of 2,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. But he did have over 600 yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground. So I expect him to have another big season running the ball. You got Elijah Green there with him again, a guy that's not really proven, but he's done okay. I think his best year was at North Carolina. And then Quavez Humphreys, another guy that's kind of unproven, but should be the top target this year for Sam Houston's offense. Defensively for Western Kentucky, they're super inconsistent. It's the front six is being rebuilt. They bring in a JUCO linebacker and 7 total additions for the line. Secondary wise, it seems like they got some more veteran guys, but overall, their front 7 is rebuilt. So, for Western Kentucky, some keys to victory / some questions that I have for this game specifically. Can the defense keep the offense on the field? And that just means, can they get the stops they need in order for their offense to be explosive like they should be? And then secondary to that, offensively, can the run game help the passing game? My 3 keys to victory, if you will: stop the run. So that rebuilt front 7's got to stop the run. We know that Sam Houston can run the ball. The quarterback likes to run the ball. They need to limit their turnovers. And then McIver has to make some plays for Western Kentucky. For Sam Houston, can the offense even pass the ball? This is my question, really, not only for this game but for the year for them. And then, can the defense get stops? They need to be consistent all around. Get to the quarterback. If they get some quarterback pressure, specifically in this game, it could keep them in it. And then I have on here, don't fall asleep in the second half. As we know, last year, this is specifically really looking at their head coach, because last year at Wisconsin, how many times were they up at half and then they ended up, dropping games or getting literally blown out in the second half? So huge key for me, them, is not falling asleep if they want to even have a chance in this game or really any game in the season. But just to summarize, I do have a slight lean on Western Kentucky -10 flat if you can find it. That is currently on ESPN Bet for -105. And then the over-unders set at 61.5. I don't know. I guess if I had to pick one, I'm picking a lean of the under. So -105 currently on ESPN Bet as well. So I don't know. 31-14 last year. I don't really see it being much different of a score this year. So you guys have anything to add to that one?
I know initially when I was looking at it, I saw Sam Houston at a number higher than 10. I think it was might have been a 10.5. It might have been 11. I don't know if it got that high or not. But I was contemplating it for a little bit. But I saw how much action is on the under. Everyone and their mother apparently is on this side.
Over.
Probably the only reason that I am off. But I do. If I had to, obviously I would probably do it. But just because of how public that specific play is, it makes me shaky. But yeah, I do lean that way.
I will say I do not have either of those locked in as a bet. That's just if I had to pick one of those two, that's where I'm leaning on those.
Sure.
I want to see how much steam this over keeps getting. Can we get this to 65?
True.
Because if we keep going, I'm 100% hammering it under. I don't know if Sam Houston can get to 30 or 25. So I'd be interested.
That's why I'm so confused.
If the line keeps steaming over the next couple of days, I definitely think an under could be a play for that. But that's all I would have. I don't like a side in this game. I think Western Kentucky wins pretty easily.
I'm thinking 35-21 at the most points I feel like I can see scored in this game. Specifically from the Sam Houston side, I don't see them scoring more than 3 touchdowns.
No,
But
I think the only way if you're going to get this over, I think it's if Western Kentucky blows them out.
Right.
But if that's all you got, we'll go to game 3, which is on the island in Hawaii. We are still in week 0. This is on Saturday, 6:30 Central on CBS. Hawaii right now favored by 2.5 with the over under at 52.5. We will start with Hawaii's offense, which, like it has been for the past 20 years, run and shoot offense that's pass heavy. They will be starting a new quarterback this year in Micah Alejado, who is a redshirt freshman, and in his debut last year threw for 469 yards and 5 touchdowns. Only played in one game, but that was his debut. Just looking at this offense, I think they're going to be able to move the ball. I like what they're returning. Conversely, looking at like Stanford's defense, they were 120th in EPA per pass. I think that sounds awful when you're playing a team that is only going to throw the ball. Hawaii statistically is not a good offense, but puts up big numbers against bad secondaries. Looking further at Stanford's defense, 112th in SP Plus last year, but they do bring back 73% of their returning production, which, albeit bad, does matter, especially with another year in the system. And I think there's going to be a slight jump this year, but specifically for this game, I see Hawaii being able to move the ball consistently. Stanford's offense, which, as we previewed in the previews, is lost their starting quarterback in Ashton Daniels, who has moved on to Auburn, and A.U. Manor, who is now a Titan in the NFL. Looks like Ben Goodbranson is going to be the starting quarterback there, who is a 6th-year senior on his 3rd stop in college football. So, veteran guy. Frank Reich's now the coach. This is going to be a very pro offense. You're going to run on early downs. You're going to see a lot more play action, slower tempo, try and slow this game down. I think they're going to have the ability to move the ball, but they have to stay on time on early downs. I don't think it's going to look pretty, but I think this offense can get to 24 to 28 points in this game. With Hawaii's defense, they've improved over the last 2 years. They still aren't good, but 86th in SP Plus is the best they've been in a long time. They have 11 of their top 20 top players returning with 150 snaps, so a bigger possibility of improvement. However, in this game, I find it hard to believe just because Stanford's going to be able to run the ball in between the tackles, which I fear Hawaii might have a problem with. I don't think they're going to have a bunch of explosive plays, but I think that they may have a tough time bringing the ball carrier down behind the line of scrimmage. My biggest questions in this game: can Hawaii hit some big explosive plays early? Because I don't think the Stanford team should be playing behind in games this year. They get down 14 early, I think they're probably dead in the water. Another big question: how much will special teams play into this game? Hawaii is a bottom 10 nationally unit, while Stanford's in the top 30. Can Stanford get a muff punt or a big kick return? I think that's a big question. And then can one of these defenses force a turnover? If we can get turnovers, whether it's Stanford or Hawaii, I think that's going to flip your game, especially with how close this point spread is. My prediction in this game: I think there's going to be a lot of quick possessions. I think there's going to be tons of 3-and-outs. I think there's going to be quick touchdowns. I think it's going to come down to who takes care of the ball and flipping field possession, which makes me lean Stanford. Looking at that, my model has Stanford at -0.5 point. While we know the Hawaii quarterback is talented and had a big game last year, this being his 2nd career start against a coach who's been in the NFL and just kind of knows how to play these type of guys, I think Stanford has a significant coaching and special teams edge. I think Stanford covers the 2.5 and wins the game outright in the island.
Wow.
not so fast, my friend. I'm just kidding. I
You're
wish.
not Lee Corso. Get out of here.
I was waiting on it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna act like I have a side because I really don't. But the more I've done reading into it, I do kind of like Hawaii. I do have a couple of questions on Stanford. As for one, to be in the pass rush and the defensive front there. I know they kind of struggle. I think if they can't fall off a cliff, I think that's going to be detrimental. But Hawaii's weapons are very fun. Quarterback's got incredible upside. My question is, with Stanford's offense, I was looking at props. I was looking at a prop line for this one because I don't like the total, for one. I think the total is kind of high given how new, I guess you could say, the offenses are. I don't really like the idea of backing two new offenses like that. But Stanford's team total is sitting at 26.5. Gun to my head, I feel like it's going under, even if they win or not. As like said, I don't. It kind of depends on field position, probably more than anything, like you were saying. But
I mean,
I don't
top
like
30 nationally, special teams unit's pretty good.
27, 28, maybe even 30 points for Stanford just doesn't seem right on that much of a time change and travel change. So I feel like an under on a team total there, even at 26, 25, whatever you got it at. I think that wouldn't be a terrible play to look at, but that's probably my only thought on that game.
Yeah, I have literally zero skin in this game.
Just watch the game, man.
Yeah, I mean, what's that one app we had to download to watch midnight games last year?
Dude.
Oh,
I forget.
Yes. Thank God it's not at midnight. Thank the Lord it's not at midnight.
It's like, oh, we're going to bed. Oh, just kidding. We're going to get this app so we can watch Hawaii play.
Dude, we had chat up and active at like 1 a.m. watching Genty run for 300 yards in the second quarter.
Yep.
Yeah, that was because the Nevada game was so good, so everyone was still awake.
True.
That too. I remember that one. That was funny.
I mean,
all right. Yeah. Our number 4 game is none other than Nebraska versus University of Cincinnati.
Mid.
No. So this game, even though Cincinnati is considered the home team, is playing at a neutral site. They are in Arrowhead Stadium, probably because of Travis Kelce. But whatever.
You forgot Pat's nephew, dude.
Oh yeah, and Pat's nephew, literally. So there you go. This is just the Kansas City Chiefs
It's a scouting game.
Yeah. It's like their kids playing, you know. This is on Thursday, the 28th. It is a 9 p.m. Eastern game, so 8 Central. It will be on ESPN. Current spread, Nebraska -6.5, and then the total's 53.5. I still believe that is the case. So Cincinnati offensively, we're bringing back Brennan Sorsby. Had 2,800 pass yards, 18 touchdowns last year, and then added on just shy of 500 rush yards with 9 touchdowns on the ground. You bring in Tyree Walker and Cyrus Allen from A&M. So you're adding them to the tight end, Joe Royer, and they should be a pretty decent offense. As bad as we've talked about them being this year, offensively they should be pretty good.
Yep.
They should be able to move the ball, specifically in the pass game. They should be able to run the ball. So, the problem is they had to rebuild their offensive line. They got 2 guys returning. They got transfer portals for pretty much the rest of them, I believe. So if they can turn, how well they move the ball in 2024 into points, this team could be something. But as far as an offensive standpoint, but yeah, if they're not scoring touchdowns off of them moving the ball, it's going to be a rough season. Now we look at Nebraska's defense. We got a new coordinator, John Butler, this year. So moving schemes. They had a lot of people depart from the front 7 of this defense. Linebackers, as I feel like, as is all of Nebraska football, is always the strength. So they got 2 veterans there, and then they got a couple transfers that should help shore up the defense. A lot of young guys on the defensive line, and then they're adding that 5-star Williams Nwaneri. Hey, look,
close enough.
I could never be a commentator because of this reasoning. Okay. Secondary wise, you got Deshaun Singleton and Kyer Wright. They're joining transfer Jalen Lewis, along with some underclassmen, trying to build some depth. Again, last year they were top 20 defensively. I don't see them being top 20 right now. Why they're trying to adjust to the new scheme, maybe by the end of the year, and that to me is going to be their biggest question year in and year or for this year. If you watched our poll, I have Nebraska in the playoffs, so this is my question mark for this team. If the defense can be good, then I think they can get there. Offensively for Nebraska, everybody knows, all you guys say is Dylan Raiola, and there it is. Second year, so I expect them to be very pass heavy and high tempo offense under their offensive coordinator. You got Dane Key, Carter Nelson, Ja'Cory Barney Jr. Offensive lines returning 100 returning people total. They have 122 career starts between them. Should be stable. I mean, outside of Johnson as a running back, they really don't have anybody, which is kind of scary. But I mean, I think Raiola can do enough with his legs to help out. I think they'll be a little bit more dynamic because everybody's going to expect them to pass the ball. Defensively for Cincinnati, they are rebuilding. There's only 3 starters that are returning. So this is why I think this team is going to be bad this year. What's not going to be able to keep them in games even if their offense is good. They have Dante Corleone. Thank you. First team All Big 12 nose tackle returning, and then you got Jack Dingle with the linebackers. You did get a couple transfers in for the secondary, but overall, I mean, it's young guys that got to step up, try to build some team cohesion. They're in the Big 12, so they're going to see a lot of good defenses. They're going to have to play a lot of good offenses. So that's why, unless they step up out of nowhere, could be good for Cincinnati. But for this game specifically, with Dylan Raiola and a Big Ten offense, I don't see it being very good. For Cincinnati, they have to exploit Nebraska's rebuilt defensive line. So offensive line wise, as long as they control the line of scrimmage, and that's kind of / key to victory there, control the line of scrimmage, and they can win this game. No. Let me back up. I don't think they're going to win this game. I think they can keep it close. And kind of to backpack on that, you have to use Sorsby's experience in this game. He's been with Cincinnati for a few years. He's considered a veteran guy. As long as he is able to continue to make plays, trust his instincts to read the defense, they could put up some numbers. Nebraska, specifically, they need to establish offensive rhythm with Dylan Raiola, so getting a good balance in the game. I don't like the idea of Dylan Raiola having to win games like on his own. But if they can get a good rhythm with him, I think they would be a tough team this year. Same with Cincinnati. They need Nebraska has to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and not just with this game. I think that's every game. And with the secondary kind of being a little bit rebuilt with some younger guys, they need to limit the big plays that Cincinnati can deliver on with their explosive offense. Regardless of all that, Nebraska minus 6.5. I am on this minus 110 currently. I don't think it's going to be close. I think if you had to pick one, 53.5 to me is a low. So I think you could look in the over at this one. Specifically, I mean Nebraska could put up 53 themselves, in my opinion. But realistically, I think Nebraska probably puts up 30. And if Cincinnati can stay in it early, they don't get down early, I think they can put up points as well. So I think this is one of the ones that's either going to soar over or kind of be way under. I don't think there's really going to be an in between with this one.
I'm up in the air. As much as I wanted to have a side in this game because it's such a weird spread, I think for both of these teams. Because Cincinnati, you look at their last 2 seasons with Satterfield, bottom of the barrel. You know what I mean? Like it's been pretty abysmal. It can't really get much worse. And then all of a sudden you're finding yourself against a sneaky Big Ten contender less than a touchdown. It's kind of weird. And you're not necessarily, I mean, obviously it's an away game in a way, but they say neutral site. That's closer to Nebraska. It's a glorified Nebraska home game with how well that fan base travels. 6.5 seems kind of low, in my opinion. And to ask them just to kind of not win by more than a touchdown seems kind of odd to me, which leads me to pass, unfortunately. But if I had to, I mean, I guess by a touchdown, that seems like not really that much of an ask, given how talented this Nebraska offense can be. They are a sneaky team, like we've pretty much said this entire preseason podcast, like these last few episodes that we've had. They are what we say they are. So this is going to be a decent test, I think, though, for both sides as well. Like I said before, I am higher on Cincinnati too. It's just their schedule's pretty daunting. This is one of those games that's kind of let's see what you can do kind of thing. But only time will tell. To be thrown in the fire pretty early on. It's a good test. It's a great test. But yeah, we'll see.
I actually like the under. Crazily enough, I struggle to see, unless there's a ton of explosive plays. I don't see these teams moving the ball super well. Like Nebraska's offense was anemic last year. I understand, like they brought in guys that can fix that, but like asking them to do that on a Thursday week 1 game, not in your home stadium, kind of freaks me out a little bit. Dylan Raiola, we still don't really know how good he is. I mean, I know he was a 5-star, but there were lots of up and downs last year, especially against good competition. And then on Cincinnati's side of the ball, you're rebuilding an offensive line against a rebuilding defensive line of Nebraska's. I see that as a wash. So how exactly is Cincinnati going to score 25, 30 points through the air, I assume, which could lead to 3-and-outs, turnovers, things like that. So I have the under set at about 49. So I like the under. Probably will make that a play here, either later this week or early next week.
One thing I've also kept an eye on as well is because that total started out at like 50, and it's been going up, but the spread hasn't changed since it opened. Like it's been at 6.5 very consistently. But that total, I mean, yeah, everybody's buying in. So yeah, I mean, if that goes up, same thing as the last game that we talked about. The more that goes up, the more it makes me want to take that there. So if it ever crosses your mind, there you go.
Yep. Next game. USF versus Boise in Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. Also on August 28th on Thursday. This is at 4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern on ESPN. As of right now, Boise State is a -6 or -6.5 point favorite. Over under at 64.5. This line has dropped a little bit. Opened at Boise -8. So you're seeing some USF steam. But getting started on USF's offense, they were 52nd in SP Plus last year. This is Alex Golish, disciple of Josh Heupel. Wide splits, fast tempo. Everything depends on what the box is going to give them. So they can either run the ball 35 times or they can throw the ball 35 times. It all depends on how the defense lines up on a given play. Offensively, they return a decent amount of linemen and obviously their quarterback, Byron Brown, who was injured a lot last year. Their backup is the same class as Byron Brown and showed enough promise where I think if you get either quarterback, you're still in a good spot. However, they were inefficient passing the ball last year, and to make matters worse, they lost both running backs and 4 wide receivers. They were 96th in third down success last year, and I worry about the passing game going into a week 1 against a Boise defense that's a pretty good defense. I think that they're going to be able to hit the occasional big play, but I worry about consistency here. through 4 quarters. Boise's defense was a top 50 unit last year, but mostly because of the run defense. They caused havoc on early downs, which led to longer third downs. They returned 60% of that production. So I see this defense being about the same as they were last year. I think they're going to be able to stop the run on early downs. I do think that, like I said, you're gettable from an explosive play rate through the air. So I think points are going to be there for USF, but you've got to hit on the deep throws. Boise's offense, which a lot of people are down on, I wonder why. They were a top 20 unit last year, which a lot of that can be said went to Ashton Genty, of course. But I am higher on Maddox Madsen, their quarterback. I think he had a good year last year. He was able to carry the water when he needed to, when Ashton Genty was getting, not the yards per
Not
carry.
500 yards a game.
Yeah, exactly. I think this year may be a little different from them from play calling. I think that even with the running back transfers they got and the questions at wide receiver, I still think they might throw the ball a little bit more. But in this game specifically, I think they're going to pound the rock. I think they want to see what these transfers can give them. I think their offensive line's experienced. They were 9th in early down EPA last year, and they were 5th in 3rd and 4th down success. Basically what that means is they had a lot of 3rd and 2s and 3rd and 3s, which bodes well for an offense that doesn't hit a ton of explosives. So I think that they're going to score a lot of points, and I think they're going to have a lot of success. UCF's defense was pretty good last year, actually. They were elite against the run, top 25 in EPA per rush, which is huge, but they were terrible against the pass, which worries me because I think you could see Maddox Madsen air it out, especially if the run doesn't work at the start of this game. They have a lot of returning production. The defense is aggressive, and hunts turnovers, which leads to tons of 20 plus yard plays. Good God. Not something you can do against Boise when this offense could be super, super good. So my biggest questions are special teams. Boise, not a good unit last year, being top 50 or being bottom 50. USF was in the top 25. Can UCF use that to their advantage? Can we get some punts inside the 20? Can we get, a big kick return? Biggest thing, being a Tennessee fan, I've seen this over and over again with Heupel, the middle 8. Who controls the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half? If USF can take control of those middle eight minutes, I think UCF could have a chance, more of a chance than people are giving them. And then explosive plays. Which defense limits explosiveness through the air more than the other? Because I think that might be the telltale when we're recapping this next week is who led up the more explosive plays. My prediction: I originally bet Boise -8 before the USF steam. I love Alex Golish. I think the potential of this offense could be really good this year, even better than it was last year. I just struggle to see how this defense is going to stop Boise. I think this is a Boise offense that just doesn't match up well for USF from just a pound-for-pound perspective. And unless they can get Maddox Madsen to throw multiple picks or put the ball on the ground, I just have a hard time seeing Boise not being able to put up 40. I understand the heat and the travel, but it's a week 1 game. Like, they've been simulating this. The travel's not going to do anything. They'll travel a day before to fix that. And I just don't know how many drives USF's going to be able to sustain, and then they got to protect the quarterback, which they did not do a super good job of last year. So my model has Boise -6.5. I think Boise wins. I think Boise covers. There you go.
Pretty straightforward there. Yeah, the more that line is dropping, the more I'm buying into Boise, I think. I know a lot of people got early steam, like you were saying, from the 8.5 opening. I do think USF has some like scheme advantages to highlight Boise's weaknesses on the defensive side. And obviously it's a retooled offense. I mean, there's going to be some struggles. There's going to be some I'm expecting some miscommunication errors, stuff like that, whatever. And I'm not going to act like USF is just this high level causing turnover machine. You know what I mean? Like it's USF. Like it's not like it's another Penn State. It's not like it's another playoff contending team. Big
They
deal.
have plenty of questions of their own. Like it's
right.
not like this USF team is just this juggernaut that has no questions.
There's nothing there that necessarily like they cancel each other out, I guess you could say. There's nothing that's one's more heavier than the other. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like USF has a chance to win the game because I, quite frankly, the -6 line is just kind of outrageous. I kind of think that they roll. Whenever the line opened and I was checking my models and spreadsheets, I had them at like 9.3. As the lines dropped and the markets reacted, I still have them at 7.8. So, I mean, if that really changes anything, I don't know why I don't have Boise in my ticket yet, honestly. I guess I'm kind of it's kind of afraid of it backfiring still. But supposedly, I was looking into a total, though. I know the weather's kind of questionable and up in the air still as well. From what I've seen, it's supposed to be from the hurricane that's down there. Thunderstorms, heavy rain, stuff like that. Especially, it's over like a 3-day span. With that, I'm expecting that total to pretty much fall drastically. So I know it's at 64 right now, but if that happens to go lower than a 63, I think you might be time to kind of buy into it. That would probably be my only thing. But that's my only angle in that game as of right now in terms of where I stand. But I'm going to pass on the side there.
Agree. The Steam's confusing me. I want to wait to see some practice reports, see if there's any injuries we're missing.
That too. It's been very quiet. Yeah.
I agree with you on the weather as well. I think an under could be a play here. I think an under could be a play depending on USF and how we feel about their offense, especially if this total keeps rising. If the total starts dropping, I think an over.
Right.
Yeah. So I also have Boise -6.5. I do have that locked in. I just don't see this being a close game. USF, I don't really project them to be great this year. Boise comes in as the number 25 ranked team. They have a chance to stay top 25, in my opinion, throughout the season. So, like we've talked about it before, they could be a one-loss team that should be, have a chance to make the playoffs. So I think it starts right here on this Thursday night in Tampa in the rain.
Number 6 on the board for this preview is none other than Buffalo and Minnesota. This game is, I think, one of the most slept on games in the slate, to be honest with you. A team that me and Jake specifically, I think Dylan as well, all very high on in the MAC conference is the Buffalo Bulls. This one is at Minnesota, Huntington Bank Stadium. Pretty sure it's the same name as like Cleveland Stadium. I'm not going to lie. This is a Thursday night game, 8 p.m. FS1 prime time. I have Minnesota spread at 15, even on the dot. This is, total is 44.5, so relatively lower total than what we've seen in terms of this slate specifically. There's a reason for that. So, Minnesota's offense, some keynotes, I guess you could say. You lose your QB, all right? You lose 3 starting offensive linemen, 2 starting wide receivers that were a part of a unit. They were all averaging 27 plus points per game, roughly. And then all of a sudden, your first game, week 0/week 1, whatever you want to call it, one of the best MAC defenses that they might ever have. New QB. That's just from what it looks like to me, it's going to be a redshirt freshman, Drake Lindsay. Don't know much about the guy. Obviously, he's a redshirt freshman. We don't really have a ton. I believe he made 1 appearance last year. I think. I'm not sure if he did. I don't have numbers on it.
He's tall.
But yeah, there you go. 6'5", 6'6". I don't know.
6'5", 6'6".
Good God.
6'7".
6'7".
And we're going to delete this podcast now.
I was waiting for it.
You started doing that, and I was like, "Yep."
I don't know much about the guy. I'm not gonna act like I do, but redshirt freshman, tall apparently. But he's never met a Buffalo Bills defense. That's the only problem. This unit is returning 12 of its 15 top tacklers. You may have heard of the name. If you have not, get used to it. Red Murdoch led the country in forced fumbles last year in 2024. He is third in MAC all-time forced fumbles in his 3 years, of being here at the school. They have a defensive end, Kobe Stewart, who led the country in sacks, and a linebacker, Deion Crawford, who was second in conference in sacks and third in the conference in tackles for loss. All three of those guys are projected to be first team all conference this year. Those are pretty much the main guys you need to watch for. In terms of the other 8 guys on that defensive side, obviously the defensive line is their best position group. They're very talented. They're very experienced. Murdoch, Stewart, Crawford, they're all, like I mentioned before, they're big-time playmakers. On the offensive side of the ball, they have some newcomers. Aljay Henderson is returning. He's a 1,000-yard rusher from last year. Other than that, you have a transfer quarterback and Taquan Roberson from Kansas State that we already talked about in our MAC preview a while back. There's not really much else to go over there, but he's got the weapons, some, I guess you could say. Best advice on the offense I can say is just get Aljay Henderson going, control the clock, control your possessions, and win the time of possession battle, because the longer that you have the ball, the less your defense has to do. Granted, I don't think their defense is going to have to do very much in order to slow Minnesota down, because Minnesota is already going to be skittish and sluggish, I think, as is. As for Minnesota's defense, they have a new coordinator. And when you're facing a Power 4 transfer, I think he's a 4-star quarterback when he was recruited, if I'm not mistaken. Roberson was, but you're not going to overlook that offense. I don't think that's going to be one thing you got to do. They're returning 6 players out of the 11 starting guys from last season. 4 of its top 7 tacklers. It's a decent start. Sneaky good secondary, though. They have Coy Parrish, who is a projected second-team all-conference. Super talented guy on the defensive backside. He's leading all of those guys in that unit as well. But incredibly talented defensive front. So this game is going to be, the total speaks for itself. It's a battle of the trenches. That's the best point-blank period statement that I got for this game. I think Minnesota's keys, they got to slow down the run game. They got to win in the trenches, and then they've got to make it and keep it a low-scoring game. In terms of Buffalo, vice versa, win in the trenches on the offensive side, and not only the defensive side, because both sides are going to be playing very talented defensive fronts. The defense has got to win on third down, and they got to get Minnesota off the field to win that field of possession battle, set up their offense for good drives there early on. In terms of a final summary that I have, unfortunately, Minnesota, they faced a team from the MAC 6 times since PJ Fleck has been the head coach here. And the Minnesota Gophers lost to Bowling Green at home in 2021, and then they have won the other 5 by an average of 12.6 points. Drake Lindsey making his first career start as a redshirt freshman, I think Fleck is going to want to pound the rock early and often with this quarterback, or with this running back, sorry. Therefore, I think the key to this handicap is Buffalo's front 7. As it turns out, in terms of that matter, I think, like we've pretty much already went over, they have a talented defense. If you slow them down, you pretty much win the game there. I don't necessarily want to say Buffalo is going to win this game. I wouldn't sleep on it, though. Similar to a lot of these other breakdowns that we've had, there's a really good chance that we might see an upset there. Don't really think it's out of the question, but I think a cover of 17 is incredibly easy. So I bought the half a point. I had it at 16.5, so I bought it up to 17 even for minus 120. Did place that just before we started recording today, so I'm playing that for a unit, and that was placed on ESPN.
Yeah, I wouldn't play it unless it was over 17. I agree. I just, as good as this Buffalo defense is in the MAC. I struggled. I know Minnesota's offense isn't explosive, but just facing, Big Ten caliber offensive linemen, running backs, I do think they can limit them, but I wonder how well they could do in a 4-quarter game. That does scare me a little bit. And then offensively, this is not the same Buffalo offense we saw last year. I think we're going to struggle a little bit with Roberson. There's a reason he's at Buffalo now and not at Kansas State. So I think if you can get a 17, I think if you can get anything higher than 17, I do like it. I have it around 15. So I think getting that half a point's huge. And that's the only thing I would play. Other than that, no, that's a lean for me. That will not be official, but I think that's the right side.
Yeah, exactly what you said. I mean, you're looking at these two teams. Cade kind of laid it out perfectly. They are very similar as far as their strengths and weaknesses, but you're looking at Big Ten versus the MAC. And, while it is tough to get into D1 football, there's a difference between the P4s and the group of fives. And I think we're going to see it here. As much as I would love to put money on Buffalo to win this game, I just don't, or even cover. I just don't think it happens. Like they said, 17. Yeah, I think that is a key number, and I think they could keep it within 17. But I think if I had to play anything as far as this game with any kind of decent money on it, I would definitely look at the total being under that 44.5. Exactly what they said. Two good defenses. If Buffalo scores more than 2 touchdowns, and I don't really know if Minnesota will score more than 3, so it's kind of right there. I don't really see much going on there, but I do like, if I had to pick one, gun to the head, like we always say, under 44.5 is where I would go.
We'll make a note that Buffalo is they are 10-5 against the spread with 3 outright victories in their last 15 games as double-digit underdogs since 2017. That doesn't necessarily, I don't make my picks based off of trends or anything like that for that matter. They're just like note-taking, good pinpoint bullet board material type stuff to kind of keep in mind. That's not really my reason for buying the half a point there. If you can do it, or if you can afford to lose a couple of cents, it's only minus 120. That's why I did it. Anything higher than minus 120, I'm probably off. But yeah, like I said, 17 for that price, I feel that was kind of like a buy-in at that point because I waited too long. So it's probably going to be long gone by the time this is uploaded, unfortunately. But hopefully we're there.
Yeah. Moving on to Friday the 29th. We look at Auburn traveling to McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas to face the Baylor Bears. This is an 8 o'clock Eastern game. It'll be on Fox. Current spread, Auburn minus 1.5. Total set at 57.5. This guy named Sawyer Robinson, that kid don't even know, is leading a very high-powered Baylor offense. He has a super deep receiving core. I wouldn't say like they're like star shining on paper, but they're deep, and all of them are pretty dang good. They last year Sawyer Robinson was kind of like, if you knew ball, you knew who he was. This year, I think he's going to be a bigger name, and if they do win, I think he could even get some talk for Heisman contention. So throwing that out there, not putting money on it, just saying you probably will hear that name. But I think they're going to be balanced, but more pass heavy in my opinion. Like a 60-40 type of balance, maybe 70-30. Auburn defensively, they have a decently strong defensive line led by Kendrick Falk. Experienced linebackers Jace Matthews and Dallas Walker IV. Pretty talented secondary, Champ Anthony, and with he's pairing up with transfer Rayshawn Pleasant. They do have some depth, as all SEC teams are. Um, defensive depth. Um, yeah, it'll be a key for Auburn this year. I don't think they're going to be great, but whatever. Auburn's offense is a little bit of a transformation, in my opinion, a little bit of a rebuild. Jackson Arnold at the quarterback position. They do have Jeremiah Cobb, which I expect to be explosive if they can even run the ball in some of these games. The offensive line is a little bit of a question mark as they are trying to develop some depth to establish that run. Again, another balance. I think they're trying to be more balanced. I think they're going to try to be run heavy, but have to end up leaning on the pass later in games to play from behind or try to get ahead in games. Defensively, for Baylor, they are rebuilding, so this is the question mark for this team. They did try to. They're focusing on improving the defensive line and the secondary to reduce the points they allow per game. But what were they? I don't have the exact number. We were talking about them that they could creep into top 50 SP plus. Is that what we said?
Yeah,
top 40
50.
maybe. So as you guys know, Jake and I are both pretty high on this team. Cade don't know anybody on the team, so I think it'll be. I think they could be very high for Big 12 contention this year, if not win it. So they're not my personal pick to win, but I do like them a lot this year. For keys to victory, can the offensive line protect Sawyer Robinson for Baylor? Will the secondary step up and limit the big plays? This game specifically, I think they need to leverage home field advantage. That's huge in any game, but especially when a Big 12 team is playing an SEC team. It is Texas, so Texas football is huge, and I think with the hype kind of around Baylor this year, they should be rocking. And then also, I think they need to control the clock. It's really with any team. If you control the clock, you have a better shot of winning the game. But if Baylor can do that, doesn't let Auburn's offense on the field as much, wears down that defense, then I could see them winning this game easily. For Auburn, which quarterback's going to lead this team? That's a question. They talked about 2 to 3 different quarterbacks getting in and rotating throughout that. As much as that is a question, it's also a key to victory for me. Rotating that many quarterbacks could potentially cause some confusion for Baylor's defense, especially since they're rebuilding. They start to get in onto one of them. They're going to switch it up and throw another quarterback in there. But Auburn's defense, are they prepared for Baylor's offense is another question. Like I said, they're kind of slept on a little bit last year. And I think they're going to just keep getting better this year offensively. So I think they're going to give a lot of defenses problems. And then Auburn's defensive line has to step up in order for them to win this game, in my opinion. Overall, I have Baylor plus 2.5 currently. Laid some money on that, minus 115 on ESPN. And then I also have Baylor money line at plus 110 on ESPN. You're welcome.
Go ahead, kid.
Nope. I'm not raining on the parade yet.
Rain on it. I've been raining on you the whole time. You don't even know who this team is.
That's true. Auburn money line minus 118 at Bolly. That's my pick. Case closed. I don't know. Arnold's a QB. They have an elite portal haul at the wide receiver position. Baylor secondary is going to struggle. I don't really think there's any way they kind of keep in touch or keep up, for that matter. I have them at minus 3.4. I took the money line just because of how low it was at the time. So I know right now it's sitting at minus 120 ish. But yeah.
You know why I let him go? Because I'm about to rain on his parade.
I know it. Got my
Baylor
back.
money line, plus 115. Give it right here
Oh, we have the first
On
head to
this
head. Though.
pod.
This is huge.
on the pod. Yeah, first head to head.
Oh, this is.
Look, I think
It's a
the biggest,
2v1.
the biggest reason I'm taking Baylor is because I do not trust Jackson Arnold to get the ball to the wide receivers. I watch Jackson Arnold. He's not good. He's not a good quarterback, and I don't care what you say about the offensive line and the wide receivers of Oklahoma last year. How do we know that it just isn't ingrained in his head now? That he's just scared all the time and he runs all the time. I think that Baylor secondary is bad. I think Baylor secondary is going to give up big plays. I think this game could go over by a mile, but I like Baylor at home. I think that's a big key to get an SEC team at home. I like Baylor's offense. I think they'll be able to get explosive plays. And I think at the end of the day that I don't trust Jackson Arnold to be consistent through 4 quarters. So there you go, first head to head. I don't have the whiteboard, so that will be for the next pod. I will have the whiteboard.
Oh, perfect.
Mark it down.
So yeah, I'll put
Week
it in
0.
Perfect.
Is that considered week 0? That's considered
No,
week
it's still
1.
week
That's
1.
week 1.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, I'll have it on the board for next week, and it'll be somewhere back here so everyone can see it.
We're tallying up.
But after that, we do have our 8th game, second to last, which is also on Friday. This one's in Boulder, Colorado. We are going to see Colorado take on Georgia Tech at 7 Central, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Georgia Tech currently favored by -4, over under 54.5. I love Georgia Tech, just so everyone knows before we start this. But we are going to begin with Colorado and their offense. I personally do not think there's a point in talking about what happened last year for this offense. This is going to be completely different. Caden Salter is now your presumed starter. Juju Lewis could be in the game at any time. That's their 5-star that they got. I think there is a possibility that both play in the first game. I think this team's going to be more run-heavy than they were last year. If you didn't know, they were the worst team running the ball statistically. They also ran the ball the least. So I think at some point you're going to have to at least try and make that a strength, and I think that's this year. The offensive line's pretty much brand new outside of freshman All-American Jordan Seaton. I think he's a big part of this offense. I think they're going to run behind him. Their top 2 running backs are back. Wide receivers are completely different. But I do think that there are explosive plays to be had in this game. I think that they need to stay in front of the sticks, and they've got to get third down conversions, which I think will also be there. Turning over to Georgia Tech's defense, not a good unit last year. They dealt with a lot of injuries, especially to key guys in the linebacker room. I think this unit's going to be better, but they gave up too many explosive plays and third down conversions. I think that the transfer portal class they got filled some needs, but I don't expect that team, the defense, to gel in one game. I think there's going to be your handful of breakdowns. I think they're going to have to get some key stops in the fourth quarter. Turning over to Georgia Tech's offense, I think this is the best unit on the field in this game. This offense is going to be so good and so explosive. Haynes Squared is back in the backfield. I love the additions of Eric Rivers and Dean Patterson. I think that they replace Eric Singleton enough. I think they can throw the ball. I think they can run the ball. Zone read, handing it off to the running back. I think everyone's a weapon on this offense. They'll be electric. I think they're going to hit explosives. I think they're going to move the ball. And then finishing with Colorado's defense, which top 50 unit last year. No one had that. No one saw that coming, especially after 2023. But when you lose Travis Hunter, Colton Hood, Shiloh Sanders, and multiple defensive linemen, I have a hard time not seeing this defense regress. I don't think there's improvement. I think there's probably either the same or a step back. I think in this game, though, that they'll be able to put up some sort of a fight. I think if they can limit explosive plays, then it's possible. I think they're going to have to get third down conversions. They're going to have to get them early. So, and I think the biggest thing, can they make Haynes King step back and throw the ball over and over and over again? Because I think if they can do that, they've got a very good shot to win. Biggest questions. What does Colorado look like in the first half? If they go down early, 14-0, 14-3, something like that, does Dion try and throw the ball 50 times? Or do they continue trying to run the ball? I think that's a big question. Can Georgia Tech get stops early? Because I think that's going to be a big factor. If Georgia Tech's defense is leaky, and then we've got ourselves a ball game. And then I think the longer this game stays close, the more the crowd gets into it. It is in Boulder. I think the crowd can be a big factor here. And then which QB makes the first mistake? Whether it's Haynes King putting the ball on the ground or throwing a pick. Is it Caden Salter doing the same thing? My prediction, I've waffled on this game back and forth. I have not put a bet in, and I will not put a bet in on this game. I love Georgia Tech, and I love the offensive potential, but the defensive problems scare me, and I don't think that they're something that you can fix over an offseason specifically. I think they need game action to fix it. But Colorado is brand new. We've never seen the style of play that they're going to play offensively, and that makes it even harder to predict. My model has Georgia Tech at -2.5. I love the team. I'm going to take Georgia Tech to win, but I do think Colorado covers the 4. I think Georgia Tech's offense puts up the points necessary, and I think the defense comes up big in the second half. I think it's a close game. I think it's a great game, but I'll take the Yellow Jackets.
I love it. I think Georgia Tech could be a team of, not only in the ACC, but in college football can be a sleeper team this year based off of solely because of their offense. If their defense isn't even remotely good, can get the stops, their offense is going to shine, and this team could be a problem for a lot of teams. I know we're high on Clemson, Miami, SMU, Louisville, Duke. I think Georgia Tech could be – it only takes a couple games for somebody to lose for Georgia Tech to be in contention for the ACC, in my opinion. So I'm also high on Georgia Tech. I don't love the -4. I don't love the total. There's just, like you said, it's week 1. There's still so many question marks on all these teams. We don't know how they're going to play. I don't know. Their offense should be great, and as long as they continue what they started last year, they should boat race Colorado, in my opinion. But we just don't know. I do like Georgia Tech money line. I'm looking for the number right now. I really don't know what it's at currently. But if you like to lay some more units on, like if you're a heavy unit person, then I think laying some significant money on Georgia Tech could pay off for you.
180.
That's not even that bad. So yeah.
Yeah. That being said, I do have Tech -3.5 for -110 bet 365. That is posted to my action, and it has been in there for quite some time now. I am skeptical. I'm optimistic though about the Colorado situation as a whole. This game screams under to me when you have like Colorado's offense, new look offense specifically, being so dedicated to running the ball. And then you have some kind of holes in their defensive line. Like it's just something's not adding up. But from everything that I've looked into, Tech's defense has been winning their position scrimmages in fall camp like crazy. And I don't know if anybody's seen the interview with Brent Key, but dude was absolutely pissed in one of his most recent conferences, which was really funny. It was a really funny interview. But yeah, we've already broken down Georgia Tech to the tiniest bit, and at this point, it's kind of just time to see what they look like. It's going to be a really, really fun environment. It's a really, really, really good week 1 matchup. Honestly, it's one of the more underrated games in the slate as well. 2 unranked teams, something to prove on both ends as well. Yeah, like I said, that's pretty much all I've got there. But Georgia Tech -3.5, still there. I think it's a -4 right now, but kind of see like a 24-20 ball game. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't think it's going to be necessarily anything of more than a touchdown. So
FanDuel still has -3.5, -118. So if anybody's looking as of right now,
I will say this: if you're looking a way out of a spread opportunity, similar to a couple games back, Nebraska money line, Tech money line is something that I've seen for your two-legger people. I know a lot of people that we know like to do those. Personally, I myself is staying away from stuff like that. I hate the -200 two legs. Kind of got burnt last year, but in terms of a value perspective, if you hate taking those like short lines, it's always an option as well, as much as it can come back to bite you. But
and you could buy down spreads too. Like if you know,
if you
it's
like,
always an option.
yeah, if you like making your
If
8
you
leg
like sweating,
-2.5s.
Hey, said I'm not doing that this year.
Oh man. Well, that brings us to the quote unquote headgear pick. We have the Ireland game. We have number 22 Iowa State facing against number 17 Kansas in Aviva Stadium, none other than Dublin, Ireland. This is the headlining game of Saturday, August 23rd at 12 p.m. It is a noon o'clock game. Will be on ESPN. 49.5 with a total, and then spread has been sitting pretty at Kansas State -3. So this one we're pretty much going to do together because it's the biggest game of the week. So Kansas State's offense. We've kind of broken it down. We've broken both of these teams down to the nitty gritty in our Big 12 preview. We know we've seen Avery Johnson. We've seen Dylan Edwards. We've seen what they did last year. Very good, solid campaign last year from Avery Johnson, as he had 58% completion rating for 2,700 yards and 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but really good on the ground. Solid dual threat, 5 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns on the ground with over 600 yards. But he threw for 2 or more touchdowns in 10 games last year. Dylan Edwards is on a lot of these running back award watch lists, headlined by the Maxwell Award. This Kansas State team's not a joke, especially on the offensive side. They're very physical up front. They win the battle of the trenches majority of the times last year, as we've seen. It's just all mattering to me. This is all mattering to me in terms of Avery Johnson, if he's going to limit his mistakes. So if you guys have thoughts on their offense.
Yeah, so just to go into the stats a little bit more, they were top 30 unit last year, excelled in yards per play and early down EPA. They struggled in third down success last year, even though they were top 30 in third down distance. So had easy third downs, didn't convert them, which something they have to clean up this year. It's a reason why they lost 3 games last year. Another reason why they lost 3 games last year, they were not a good team in the red zone, and they turned the ball over too much, whether it was picks, fumbles, all that. I think in this game, though, they have a significant edge against Iowa State defense. I think they will be able to run the ball a lot and often and for a lot of yards. Whether it's Avery Johnson, whether it's Dylan Edwards, I think either one could have massive games here.
The one thing that we do know about this offense in general is that they can put up points. That's the given here. That's what wins them the games, majority of the time, I should say. Very fun unit to watch, I will say. In terms of who they are facing, though, is what scares me. Iowa State's defense is no joke. Kid that I graduated with went there. Shout out Malik. Don't know if he listens to this or not, but he's friends with Caleb, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, secondary is absolutely lethal. This Iowa State team. I, in my opinion, I want to hope that they struggle versus these Kansas State weapons. But they got to capitalize on the turnovers and take what Avery Johnson gives them, pretty much. Whether that's a misread, whether that's miscommunications. If they're 10 toes down and they're playing at their best, this is going to be a very, very close game until the final minutes, I think.
I mean, agree. I don't think this game's going to be a blowout by any means, but I think there is, like I said, significant edge Kansas State offense, I think.
Absolutely.
Iowa State's third down defense was pretty pedestrian last year. They were a top 25 unit overall, but like you said, great against the pass. You know what they're not good at? The run. They were bad against the run.
Polar opposites, yeah.
Which is, we look at Kansas State, who runs the ball a lot. And they're going to stress you with different angles and different, zone reads and inside zones, pulls, all those things. So I think there's regression here from the Iowa State defense with everything that lost up front, and I have a hard time seeing them being able to stop this offense consistently, unless Kansas State shoots themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, their secondary is a great unit, but Kansas State's going to run the ball like crazy in this game, in my opinion. That's going to cause those safeties and corners to walk up, and whoever, linebackers are going to be sucked in on the run. That's going to open up the big plays, in my opinion.
Yep.
So that's why I think that's kind of my take on when Kansas State's on offense for this game.
Which leads us to Iowa State's offense, led by junior quarterback Rocco Becht. He is under center. He's been under center for quite some time at this school. 14 games last year, including a bowl game. 59% completion rating for over 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Solid QBR, though, 138.1. I know it's pretty decent among the quarterbacks in terms of Big 12 standards. But they do get returning running back junior Carson Hansen. He was one of the 4 backs last year, rushing for 300 or more yards, and then also played in 14 games, carried 151 times for 752 yards, to be exact, 5 yards per carry. So 13 touchdowns as well. The thing about these Iowa State running backs is that they are very active in the passing game. I know Matt Campbell absolutely loves working in these screens, these checkdowns. Rocco Becht is known as quite literally a checkdown merchant. Probably will continue to be this year, despite losing half of his weapons on the outside, the numbers and hashes. But Hansen in specific, 13 passes caught last season, 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. But yeah, like I said, the one thing that I am worried about is who Rocco is going to be throwing to.
I think this is the game to me personally, with Iowa State's offense, because this is the one unit we don't know really what exactly is going to happen. We have assumptions towards it. Like, I don't think they're changing anything philosophy wise. I think they're going to still run the ball on early downs and throw the ball outside the numbers. I think they're still going to expect Rocco Becht to be Rocco Becht regardless of who he's throwing to. But there are significant problems with this offense, and there were last year. Kansas State's really good against the run. Iowa State isn't good running the ball. Carson Hansen, I know, had 5 yards per carry, but Abu Sama, their other running back, I don't even think he barely cracked 3. So Don't love that. They were not good getting positive yards on first and second down last year. They were 88th in the country. I think now that you may not be good at that, plus you don't have Jaden Higgins and Noel out there, I have a hard time seeing wide receivers that are going to step up and catch that 3rd and 7 slant or that 3rd and 7 curl. They're going to have to win this game through the air, though. And that leads me to why, that's the biggest question is, can they do it? Because we don't know.
Yeah, right. I would say the number one thing for this Iowa State offense is season-wise is you cannot get behind the sticks, especially early in games. You want to see get some production going. If they get behind the sticks early, not converting on those third downs, not going 3, 4 and out, whatever, 3 and out, then it's just going to be a tough season for this offense.
I think with the unit that they're facing specifically in Kansas State's defense, they're supposed to. Start over here. Beck is supposed to be playing one of the best units in the Big 12, projected, in Kansas State's defensive side. Specifically, their linebackers and their front both have experience from top to bottom. Austin Romaine, he is the linebacker on Kansas State, who quite literally is probably team captain, I'm assuming. I don't know if that's been announced yet, but if I had to guess, defensive line experienced players all around, like I said, though. They're hoping for a breakout star, probably on the edge rushers, could be one of those guys there. But I think the secondary is a point of focus. They have a mix of experience and they got a mix of newcomers. But given their strengths, one of the best linebacker core in the country, let alone probably the best in the conference. And then, yeah, like I said, if I think they have a number of defensive linemen that you can play in these specific schemes, whether that's a 3-man rush, whether that's a 4-man rush, those guys can pretty much just go on any Big 12 team and just fit in just like that. It's a basic scheme. It's a Big 12 defense. There's not really much to it, but they're talented and they're experienced. I think what kind of limits them to like a Swiss cheese type of defense is going to be their secondary, though. When you have your experienced guys, VJ Payne, Colby McAllister, you have your transfers Gunnar Maldonado and Omarion Fortenberry. They are experienced to contribute. Now, the thing is that injury news that did come out to 3 of those guys on the secondary. That is being Asa Newsome, who is a linebacker, Gunnar Maldonado, which is an Arizona transfer that I just said, and then Colby McAllister, which also I just said. They're on the injury report literally just yesterday. McAllister is the only one that's listed as doubtful and the least likely to play. And then all of them have pretty much taken little to no practice reps. But the other 2 are kind of waiting on the green light to go ahead to be cleared to play. In my opinion, I don't think any of it matters because this side of the ball doesn't necessarily win them the games anyways to begin with. It's going to be their offense. That's just the way that they are. But the defensive line, while they are strong, they need to find a consistent pass rush to put pressure on Beck and opposing quarterbacks in general. And yeah, like I said, they got to have a star to emerge. Jason Ross, I think, is probably going to be if I had to guess, it's going to be my guy to make an impact immediately. He had some promising tackles for loss last year numbers. But outside of that, like I said, they're not really the reason that kind of wins them the games there. Quite frankly, it's not the one that worries me because their offense is usually going to put up enough points to give them the cushion that they need anyways to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, they go with their offense. That's why they lost games last year. It's why they won games last year. You look at the upsets that they had and the wins that they had, it wasn't necessarily because of their defense. I do, however, I think if this game starts getting into the 30s, I don't like Kansas State doing that. I don't think we need to be letting Iowa State score 30 points.
Right.
They're a good third down defense, which is good. Very big. You got to be good situationally if you're not good. Which I know they're like a top 30 unit, but there's too many secondary breakdowns. You lose 4 of your 5 starters, so you bring in more guys, transfers, younger guys. Then 2 of them get hurt. I worry about secondary breakdowns in this game. The question I have is, can Rocco Beck take advantage of them? Can the offense of Ohio State take advantage? I just think Kansas State's offense has the better answers and less questions.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Specifically, the question for me as far as Kansas State defense is going to be, can the front 7, front defensive line, can they get to Rocco Beck and make him make, irrational decisions? If they can limit the run, I think that's going to put Iowa State in that situation where they have to pass. And then from there, it's just going to be, pin your ears back and go after him. So if they can get to that situation, I mean, they should get to that situation, in my opinion. That way, that kind of takes the pressure off of these newer guys in the secondary. And yeah, I mean, keys there. That's the key for Kansas State defense to me. Get to Rocco Beck, make him make quick decisions where he doesn't have time to sit and analyze the defense, find those holes in the secondary, which they're probably going to be there, especially this game.
Yeah, that's not really much else to add other than which for Kansas State, I think the offense has got to have their foot on the gas at all times in this game, and they cannot make any mistake, specifically Avery Johnson. No turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions, whatever it needs to be. I also think that they need to win the clock management and the coaching battle in the final minutes. I think that whether that's managing your timeouts correctly, whether that's third down conversions, whether that's literally anything, the basic stuff that normal college coaches handle in the final 5-10 minutes of the fourth quarter every time, aka don't be a Mario Cristobal or something like that. In terms of Iowa State, I guess you could kind of say the same thing, other than the only thing that I would tell you is highlighted to their defense is limiting those explosive plays, as Dylan kind of hit on. If they're opening the passing game by running the ball, which is expected, I think being careful and limiting those explosive plays is going to be a major key in this game, and to keep Kansas State's offense off the field and control the time of possession battle there, whether that's running the ball or your short yardage gains with those running backs, whatever you got to do, just limit their presence as much as you can. With that being said, I don't know. I know that all of us have pretty much felt the same way as what I know. I hope we're still on the same page, I think. I think Kansas State's experience is going to come through in that fourth quarter, second half to be exact, and give us an edge there. I expect a back and forth affair with momentum swings here and there as well. I think Kansas State's tempo and their execution and Avery Johnson's dynamic flair, I think, should be enough to cover 3 points against Iowa State here. With that being said, I have Kansas State -3 at -110 on ESPN. We still there, hopefully.
It is, it's -3 currently.
Okay.
Try this, -3 across the board for 110.
And if you are on or if you are out of this game, I should say.
Yeah. I personally have Kansas State money line. I wasn't a huge fan of the 3. I just don't like the even numbers like that. Give me a 2.5. Give me, something like that. I like where you can get the for sure cover. I mean, getting a push isn't a bad thing, but I wore purple hat for a reason today. This is the game, our big game of the week. Kansas State money lines -150. Put 75 on it to win 50. That's how I did it for this game. It shouldn't be close in my opinion. They should run away with it in the second half, but we'll see what actually happens. Week 1, like we've said, a lot of questions to answer. We'll should know more about each team as the season progresses. As always, that's just how it goes. But on paper, what we've talked about, Kansas State should win this game easily, and they should cover the -3.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned it's Farmageddon in Ireland, one of the greatest rivalries. So
True.
I love Matt Campbell. I love Rocco Becht. They've done such a good job kind of building this program back up after Brock Purdy and all that. But there's too many questions. And I don't think it's a blowout, and I don't think it's double digits. But I think Kansas State wins, and I think Kansas State covers, whether that's by 4 or 7. I think it comes down to the wire. I think it's a great start to the week 0 college football season, just like we got last year. Who knows? Maybe it's a game-winning kick again. But, yeah, give me Kansas State.
I think the real question here is over under 8.5 beers by Pat McAfee.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Over.
Is he going to be drunk again like he was last year?
Yeah, over. Very.
What was the number last year? Like 12 or something crazy? 15?
Dude,
It was a lot of Guinness. It was a lot of Guinness.
It was a lot of Guinness.
I know that. With that being said, though, we have our first pretty much group ticket, group ride, squad ride, gang ride, whatever you want to call it. I guess we're taking segment names for that type of thing still.
Sledgehammer.
But we are all on Kansas State there. So, which we'll have stuff posted and the action separate, which I will make a note of now while we are pretty much finalizing all of our picks. I think we came to an agreement of where our picks, specifically us 3, exclusive picks, will be strictly for the podcast, and the stuff that will be posted into the Discord server known as the Locks channel or your picks channel, whatever you want to call it, will be the group tickets and stuff like that. So in case if people wonder where our picks are on Saturdays or whatever, tune in, and then you'll find out. Other than that, that's pretty much about it. Like I said, that's week 0 / a little bit sneak peek into week 1. Next week we'll recap this week. Looking to have that out earlier in the week next week. That way we get to preview all of the week 1 games that we want to, because there are some big headliners there, absolutely. So if you guys got anything else to add, we'll pretty much close it out.
All good.
We're back.
That's it.
Football.
We're so back.
Dang straight. With
I can't get worse than I was last year. That's all I want to say.
We were all profitable last year, were we not?
Yeah, because I stopped betting.
Oh, that'll help.
I started out hot, and then it just got real bad real quick.
Yeah, just to add on to what Cade was saying is we will have everything tracked
separately.
We are going to do a better job of keeping everything we have, whether that's futures, all of that stuff tracked for everybody, so that you guys are able to find that and things like that. And then, like I said, we will have a whiteboard to make it easier for you guys to know our head-to-heads, our group rides weekly, so that you guys can see that on the pod and we can just discuss it. And we will keep a head-to-head and group ride record throughout the whole year with all of that. So
unless we're doing bad, then we won't show it.
No, I mean, I'm showing my head-to-head to you. My head-to-head against you.
I will come into the national area by myself and just rip that whiteboard in half if I can.
Okay. All right.
If it's like $199 to 3.
But yeah, things coming. Taking suggestions as always. Hit us up on Twitter, Discord, anywhere you can find us.
Join the Discord if that.
Yeah, join the Discord.
That.
But yeah, give us feedback, give us some likes, give us some love. See you next week.
Pretty much. I'll have a decently big announcement that I'll hit on real fast, and then we'll go. Basically, had my final meeting today in terms of everything that we are doing. So, on Thursdays, it'll be every Thursday. This is just a me thing. Sorry, love you guys.
Yeah, we can leave if you want.
I will be doing co-hosting a Thursday show for NFL with Josh Applebaum. For those of you who know Josh Applebaum, he is very knowledgeable in this industry. Most of you may know him if you're involved within Rithmm. He has been one of the guys that I've kind of done shows alongside of it from Rithmm Lab on Fridays, if you remember those. But yeah, we'll be doing a Thursday show for that. I'll have more details on that. Obviously not a whole lot right now. That's going to actually be releasing this coming Thursday, on Thursday, August 21st. I think we go live. It's a live stream, so it'll be live at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So just be on the lookout for that on Rithmm's Twitter, my Twitter, stuff like that. So yeah, basically just wanted to get that out of the way and announce that there. Just another way for picks, engagement, interaction, whatever, whatnot, whatever. Love you guys. But other than that, pretty much about it now. I think we're good. See you next week. Let's have a weekend. College football's back. CJ Carr's QB1, and we're out.